Well, it's rather strange. I actually sat down one week and finally decided to write something just for myself. I had been very much trying to become a writer and trying to write that next edgy contemporary story. And when I sat down to write something purely for myself, Major Pettigrews Last Stand came out, and it was completely unexpected and not necessarily the voice I was looking for. And I realized that that was my voice, and that I had finally found a way to be authentically myself instead of trying to be a writer. Well, I think the Major is a very decent man, and he stands for compassion and for being a good person and for trying to do the right thing. And I think his flaws are that he generally fails to do this every single day. And what I find absolutely delightful about him, and I really consider him a real person, not just somebody I wrote. I feel I have no control over who he is and how he acts. But what I love about him is that he recognizes when he's failing. And he picks himself up and the next day tries to go out there and be a good person, be a better person again. And I find that absolutely delightful. My novel is a clash between decency and compassion and tolerance and the opposite of those. And I don't think that any of us should consider those things old-fashioned. I think the world will slide into being a terrible place if we consider those notions quaint. And I very much think that the Major stands for timeless values. And I hope that when people finish reading the book that they will feel that those things are important too and that they deserve to win the day. Mrs. Ali is the very obvious outsider. Even though she is British, born and bred, she looks different in the eyes of most of the village, and therefore she's just obvious as an outsider. However, what I love is that actually the Major is very much a nonconformist himself, and while he appears to fit in with the village, he's somewhat playing a role. And a clue to that would be his dead wife, who he recollects many times in the book, and she was very much a radical kind of person. So the fact that he married her and put up with her ideas and allowed her to influence him is an indication that he's not quite of the village. I think for all of us, we feel at times in our life that we don't belong, that concept of alienation, and I think feeling a bit of an outsider is actually, it's kind of the grain of sand in the oyster that creates a pearl. If everybody fit in completely with their own society, then I think that would be very boring. And I think people, the interesting part of people lies in that little bit of them that is outside the norm.